Good day, Professor. On this day, I talk about the workshop 5 from the lesson Vehicle Engineering. I'm Ramos Otomaranjon, and on this workshop is about evaluate a clutch behaviors during a normal driving, and the objectives is analyze the plotting results from simulate the track with acceleration with different values. Step 1, explore many options. This is very important for others workshop. For example, on these parts, you have any options, for example, file, where you can select new subsystems, subsystem assembly, and open any works. Step 2 is about the Activate Manager plugin system. For this part, it's very important to the workshop file because you activate the Adams card track. Okay, for this part you go to filters, go to tools option and select the plugin manager, and then check yes for the Adams card track. Step 3, to create a full vehicle assembly. For this part you go to the file option and select open and then assembly. It's appear a box where you right click on this part and select search. After that, track share assembly, and finally the tractor assembly. This you must have a tractor semi-trailer system. Step 4 is about the verified system units, and this is very important for the workshop 5. For this part, the units who work with the workshop 5 is MMKS system. For example, is kilometers, kilograms, seconds, centigrades, for example, and Newton. Step 5 is about the simulate full vehicle system. For this part, you go to simulate option, and from the straight line events, select the full vehicle analysis, and finally select acceleration, who now evaluate. Okay, you must to create 3 tests to compare. In this step, we created 3 tests to compare different results presented in each of these. As we see, to do this, we must change only the final acceleration, for example here, final throttle of the vehicle, and only the initial speed is constant in all 3 tests. Okay, and this is very important because you after that evaluate and analyze the plot result from this test. Step 6, animating analysis results. From this part, you go to the review option and select animation controls. And after that, you have the animating controls. For example, the simulation about the test 1. On this part, you can see the trajectory from the track with the acceleration is the final acceleration on this part is 2. The test 2 on this part the final acceleration is different. We changed from 2 to 1. In the final part is a small difference. The simulation 3. In this part the value is 3, and you can see the small difference in the final trajectory. Step 7, plotting analyzing results. On this part, we analyze this plotting. For example, in this step, we see the result in a plotting of the first test that was performed, where we can see the lines that are the clutch demand who is the color red, and the throttle demand who is the color blue, where we see how they vary with the time. In the acceleration line, in the throttle line, for example, we see that drop sharply. To a value 0 sharply, while the clutch line, who is the color red, increase for a moment. Also, its value sharply, that lapse of time is almost 0.5 seconds, after which the value of the throttle and the throttle increase to a constant value. On this case is 100, and that of the clutch, the case to be a constant value, who is 0. For the test 2, the plotting result of the second test, we see the same behaviors as the first test, that is the abrupt change of the throttle, line along with the clutch line, where they then become constant. Also, the time in which that happens is the same. For the plot result of the third, we see the same behaviors as the first test, that is the abrupt change of the throttle line along with the along with the clutch line, where they then become a constant value. Also, the time is the same. Sorry. Um, on this case, you compare the throttle line from the three tests. Okay, this is done to see the value of the sudden change that each of these tests presents, where we see that in the three tests is the same exchange value. In this case, it is 100. Also, the time interval is 0.5 seconds. We can conclude that during the start of the speed of the track, the acceleration decays because we are putting it in first gear, disengaging the clutch for a moment. About the clutch, in this part we see the layout of the clutch line of each test, where we can see clearly the value of the sudden change that has. We also see that the exchange value is the same for each test. Unlike the throttle line, in this case, the sudden change grow up to a value of 1. With this plotting result, we can deduce that at the moment during the start of our track, when we made the change of speed to engage the clutch first, we stepped on the clutch to do this, and after a while we changed the gear. Workshop question: what is the function of a current clutch brake used in a heavy-duty program? The function of the clutch brake is to allow transmission on a voluntary basis, interrupting the transmission of mechanical power to its final action. Therefore, it fulfills the function of connecting and disconnecting the power transmission, especially the drive shaft to the drive shaft. Also, in the simplest application, another function important is to minimize gear clutch during upshifts to other ratios. Second question. Technician A says that a clutch disc should be reused unless wear or damage is severe. Technician B says that all replacement clutch parts should be carefully compared to the old parts to help ensure they will work properly. Who is right? For me, the technician B that has the reason, because in the clutch system it has many components. Of course, the clutch disc fulfills the main function, okay, but in the composition of this system has a plate springs that can be in a bad condition. Well, we know that a spring loses its tension over time, and this is why we must review all the components of this system, since they all fulfill a specific function. What is the most common clutch problem? The most common problem are the following: clutch disc wear of the clutch disc. This is very common problem since this component is in constant friction work. Likewise, for the same gear to get excessive wear, and this would cause or would have symptoms when you step on the clutch pedal shortly, and you can't change gear, or you do it but with too much noise. Vibrations that occurs when the clutch is being engaged or disengaged is called. Okay, the vibration who occurs is called tipping shoulder vibration. This occurs when the clutch is being engaging or disengaging, because this system probably have a wear in its components. Thank you.